Live from Action News 5 Studio, you're watching A Better Memphis.
Well, students in the Germantown Municipal School District go back to class on August 6th. And joining me to talk about the upcoming school year is Superintendent Jason Manuel. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you with us. First of all, let's start with asking, are there any major changes within Germantown schools this year that parents and students need to know?
There's several.
Okay.
So first, summer is a time for rebuilding and rehiring.
Right.
So we're excited. We're just finishing a ceiling, tile, and grid project renovation at our high school, Houston
Nice.
High School. So they'll come back and the lighting will look different and the ceilings will look different. We've also done a big renovation at our track in our football field. So
Nice.
we had a 7-lane track that we have now expanded and recoded so that we're ready to host Olympic level track events. And we have a new stadium there too, so we're ready for the fall sports to start and students to get involved.
Wonderful.
When in the classroom, we're excited because we've started a new initiative, Capturing Kids' Hearts, which is a national organization, and it talks about how do we really challenge students to be their best in the classroom. And the way to do that is through personal connections.
Right.
You know that for students to take risks in the classroom, you have to get to know who they are and know what are their struggles and what are their challenges and
Make
what are
them
their strengths.
comfortable.
Yes, you got to make them comfortable.
Right.
It's that productive struggle in the classroom that we're really trying to foster. So parents will hear a lot of that information, like students will come home talking about social contracts, they'll talk about how we're not having put downs and how we're really working with each other. So it should be a new special time for our students in all of our schools.
Wonderful. Sounds like a wonderful program.
It is incredible.
Okay, so and this year, all Tennessee schools are required by state law to have a cell phone policy.
Yes.
Blending. Your district is blending a learning program that requires the use of laptops and the internet. So has your handbook changed at all following the enactment of the state law?
Yes, so we already had it where you couldn't use cell phones in classes unless the teachers allowed you to. The state law says the same thing. During instructional time, you cannot have cell phones. But the students are supposed to have access to them because we know that there are crises that happen in schools.
Right.
And so parents want to have that connection to their students. So they can have them in their backpacks, on their person, as long as they're stored in the classroom. But they can't be out and used during instructional time. Now, at all the other schools, it looks different depending on how they were enforcing our previous cell phone policy. So we're working through a multi-year transition for not having cell phones. So at some of the schools, like a high school, for example, they can still have their cell phones during their lunchtime. But they can't be have them out in the classroom. They can't be using them while they're walking through the halls. But during lunch, they could check their phones. At the middle schools and elementary schools, it'll be different because they couldn't have those on them anyway. So at the Houston Middle School, for example, they'll be able to check their phone right before they have their recess time. So it looks a little bit different for each school, but the main thing with the state law is that you can't have it on during instructional time. It has to be stored and put away.
I know you also had to come up with consequences too.
Yes.
Does that change at all?
Consequences are pretty similar. We go through progressive discipline just like you would for skipping or any other thing that you would do. Know that we want to give students chances to make mistakes. So we want to start with warnings or overnight suspensions, which means we've got to have a meeting with the parents before we move to something a little bit stiffer for cell phones. Because we know it's going to be a change. They are addicted to their cell phones. And
a lot of us are.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So it's going to be hard for them to do that transition. So we know it's going to be a year where we're going to have some struggles, but we're going to work with parents and kids to make sure that they're learning the new era.
Wonderful. All right. So I know that Germantown does allow non-resident students who live in Shelby County but outside Germantown to attend. There is a $519 tuition.
Yes.
What is that money used for?
So that money is set by state law. It's based on what the city of Germantown gives additional besides the county and state funding. So it's a formula that they come up with. Whatever the city of Germantown gives us, we take that and divide it by the total number of students to determine what we can charge for tuition. But we use that to go into instructional products that we have in our classrooms. So it's all those supplemental materials. Not a significant amount of money for those students to come, and we think we've got a world-class education for them once they get here.
Yeah, $519. I was thinking that's not bad at all.
No, but it is determined by state law what that amount is.
Okay, all right. And earlier this month, teachers from across the district participated in the 2025 GMSD AI Institute to discuss student-centered and safe ways to use artificial intelligence in the classroom. How will AI be used in the classroom in Germantown?
So there are thousands of different ways. And I think people don't realize that we're already using AI.
Right.
When you think about your smartphone, when you're sending a text to somebody, it's already guessing the next words that you're going to send. It's already doing that. When we do Google searches and we plug in a prompt and we have that, we know that it's already guessing what we're looking for and pushing us towards a certain direction. So our students are using it. The challenge for us with AI is we don't want to lose student creativity, especially when we're thinking about critical thinking and how you write and your voice in what you write. And I know in your field too, you could have an AI that would write an entire speech and it would try to use your voice to write that speech. We've got to be careful that we're not losing that. But we know that our future is going to include AI. It's not going to be about who is or who isn't using AI. It's going to be about who's using it well. University of Vanderbilt, for example, has a new degree where you can get a degree in prompt engineering and artificial intelligence.
Wow.
That is going to be the change in how you use the AI and how well you use it. So just like with Google, where you could have, say, find me a paper on Tom Sawyer, the book. Know that that's not going to be as good as someone who's asking facts or asking about how it's written and then writing it themselves. So AI is very similar for us.
Not to mention the fact that those AI projects would look very similar.
Yes, they do. So there are things that you can put in. They like to use keywords and phrases too. Know for us that we are starting with a product called School AI, which is I don't know if you know a lot about the AIs, but it's it's a closed system. There are AI like ChatGPT. There are different versions where you can either get the closed or open, where it's going out into the internet and finding things. So we're using a closed system to start with, so when students and teachers are exploring about how they use it, they're not open to everything that's out there in the internet. So making sure that we use safe products with guardrails is really important.
All right, we'll have more of this interview coming up shortly, but first we'll take a quick look at the upcoming forecast. Ron?